withdrew it though, yeah. They withdrew it. They withdrew it.
Come eat this damn Reese pieces, Mike.
He just,
Here,
he was at the door a minute ago when I got here.
eat that sucker so I don't.
Draw it.
Eat that sucker. Get out of here.
Gotta hide it from Heather.
He's hiding it from Heather.
At one stop,
Right there on the corner.
I had one. That's enough.
yeah.
I used to be able to hide them in the freezer at the house.
Oh, pooh.
All right.
That'll make it a little bit easier tonight.
Sup, up? How are you?
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm good.
The liquor store thing was.
Oh.
Okay. Sounds good.
The liquor store withdrew. Planning on something.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
With that as a.
Is that,
I mean, people don't show up to them no more. And
Well, that's what I said. I said social media. I mean, Gary,
Something
Pam,
on liquor.
wanted to. So you can go there and see the platform. You can see their record.
older people like those.
Yeah, well, let it
Caitlin, you ready?
the media, you know what I mean? People that was gonna go for it. Fired him, and that's how it was.
No, you're good. I opened it. There are just.
All right, let's call the order the March 18th City Council meeting. Mr. Reed, would you lead us in a little prayer?
Certainly will. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, as we stand tonight, we're just grateful and just want to express our gratitude for our city and for our citizenry. You have been so good to us. You have watched over us with your all-seeing eye. You have guided us with your, God, just mighty hand. So we just say thank you. Thank you for this city. Father, thank you for the citizenry that live in this city. And thank you for all your protection and for all your blessings upon us. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving along, let's see. Couple of announcements. The March 22nd, 29th absentee voting at City Hall from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And let's see, April 1st, 2025 will be the primary elections. April 8th, 2025 will be the next City Council meeting. We have a guest proclamation for Attorney J.P. Compretta.
Evidently, JP couldn't make it, so we'll put it off to the next meeting.
Okay. Minutes approval. Anybody got any changes they want to make to the minutes? No? Well, can I have a motion to accept, with no changes?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Hoffman,
Second.
second Councilman DeSalvo. Any questions? Any discussion? No? Vote the motion?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Planning and zoning, number 6, the liquor store, withdrew, so if anybody's here for that, they withdrew the application, so it's a done deal, there'll be no store. Yes, ma'am? Would you like to come up?
My name is Sandra Price. I live at 408 Sycamore Street, and I was one of those individuals at the planning and zoning meeting that opposed the liquor store. One of my main concerns for the opposition was because of Martin Luther King Park. And one of the problems that I see at the park right now is there's a fence line that doesn't go all the way down in the park. So it gives access to individuals coming off Old Spanish Trail to be able to walk directly into the park. So I was wondering if the council would like to address that, maybe send someone out to extend that fence.
Are you talking about
yeah.
the alley? Is
Yes.
that alley? I think we was gonna close that off,
We're
wasn't
gonna
we?
close that off.
Okay, but that was a concern of mine for the kids.
Yeah,
because I
it
work
used
with a
to
lot of-
be at one time with a gate and all,
Yes.
Right.
but I remember when Mr. Willie was there and all, it got opened up, and I think that might be where that tree fell that time, and the plan is to go down that side of the fence. You know, Reverend Reed's got the plans for that
Okay,
and
good.
all, to put fence.
Okay, I'd like to see that. I also would like to see a speed bump in front of the park. Is there any reason why there's not one there? I mean, we say, slow down for the kids, but there's no speed bump in front of the
Thought
park.
they
I
had
think,
one there.
I think it used to be one.
but is it possible to have one?
This is possible.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. Since the application for the, liquor store.
Thank you, Ms. Price.
You're welcome.
Moving along, mayor's report.
I know Jason and Ronnie's been working on this for quite some time to come out with a bid package for work when need to be done in the city to save us time and everything. And I think everybody got a copy of it here, passed out just now by Mr. Riso. What it'll do, we can get a spec work, we'll have prices, can figure out what the prices are when it comes time to need it, whether it's drainage, whether it's, water, some type of work we can't handle, we'll have a contractor. Just like the county has the asphalt, a contract with them to come do asphalt work and all, this will be very similar. And it'll include, the water, the sewer, drainage, roads and repairs like that. So we'll have prices that will save a lot of time, keep them going out for bids again, and every time we need to do something.
And this is year to year, Mayor? Is this year to year?
Sir?
Jason,
Year
how
to
are you?
year.
Is it 1 year? With,
Yeah.
usually you want to do at least 1 year with options because you get better pricing. Typically,
so-
you'll actually see
yeah.
them for multiple years, 2 or 3 years with additional options.
So we'll lock them into the pricing for a year with the extensions agreed upon by both parties.
Correct.
Well, extensions, they wouldn't be agreed upon. You'd have to. you would-
Rebid
you
it
would
every
have-
year?
No, you could regrade, but you wouldn't change the numbers. So whatever the numbers are,
We
You'd
can
have
just
a-
carry it over.
yeah. So if it's a mutual extension, you
Yeah,
extend it
would
for a
be-
year, come back, you'd extend it at the prices that they submitted.
If it's $5 this year, it'd be $5 next year if we choose to renew it.
But if we're good with the price, but materials have gone up, then where do we go? Put out another bid?
They would, yes, they would deny it. They would have the option to turn it down.
Are you all gonna put?
That's why a lot of times you'll see these for multiple 2 or 3 years at a time with options to extend. Yeah, and I don't know if Jason's looked at the pricing or there might be a reason he's doing the 1 year. I don't know.
So we don't have the pricing as of yet because they're not.
No, you're putting it out for bid.
That's what this
Okay.
is for.
So we-
It's out for
This is.
bid.
So we're doing it, so can you explain, so we're doing it year to year with what are the terms of the agreement? Year to year with the possibility for extension for 2, 3 years? What is that?
We can do whatever, y'all want done. We can go out for 3 year probably.
I just don't see how they can guarantee prices for 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen these,
I
things
think-
before and they're good.
Yeah, and I think what happens if you go out too far in advance without the year to year,
You get higher prices.
Yeah,
you
you
get
have to-
higher
you have to find
prices
the
just in
sweet-
case
the
something
sweet
goes
spot.
up. So,
Is there a CPI escalator?
There can
it
be.
can be.
Do we have it in, is that what we're putting out in the bid? Jason, Jason, can you come up and?
Yeah, we've seen it both ways. I mean, you can do it for 1 year, base bid, and then an option to go out for an additional 3 years, 1 year at a time. Sometimes the cities elect to keep prices and just hold them year after year. Or a lot of times they do have a CPI, some type of an escalator clause. MDOT does sometimes with fuel and material.
So what are we going out
Yeah,
there?
I
for
think
bid?
we need to do the escalator so that every year we can reevaluate it and see. Because if they don't agree to the price, they don't hold it, then we're right back in the square one where we have to rebid it. So we can come up with some type of fair number to increase per the CPI, and that way it's just an automatic increase.
But
Or
we need to,
decrease, but it could-
we need to decide tonight, because we're doing a motion to authorize
Yeah.
the advertisement of bid. So
Correct.
what's your recommendation to do the bid in terms of the escalator?
To include it as a CPI increase.
What would that price, what would that escalator be?
Yeah, it's every year, whatever the CPI
It's whatever
is.
the CPI is.
Yeah. It's normally produced, I think, in February.
Do we want to put a cap on what that could be?
We can cap it.
Yeah, you
do
can
that.
cap it.
Yeah, you could just do a standard rate. You could say 3% max.
No, I
least they
think
get
it's a great,
something.
I mean, I think it's a great thing. If we have some repairs that need to be done and we have this contract in place, it's great, but I just don't need to better understand the details as to what we're advertising. Do we have that advertisement? Do we have, so I've got,
Yeah, it's the scope of work is what we sent out today. So it has all the unit prices that we're gonna include. We looked at different cities on how they do it. We looked at Slidell, we looked at Gulfport. Everybody does it a little bit differently. We'd have to put some minimums in there. A contractor's not gonna come over and just mobilize to change out one culvert, so we probably say a certain minimum, 10 culverts at a time, and kind of work that into the contract. I would probably recommend the CPI or a maximum of 3%, so you have some flexibility.
okay.
CPI is
might
only
be
2.5%, and
Don't give
The
it-
cap
Max,
'em at
yeah,
that,
can't
you
get
know.
above, okay, so,
Mhm.
but that's what, we don't have, so that's, I get, we've got the breakdown of the unit pricing. I hear 3%, I think that's a fair, but I just wanted to make sure we understand what that advertised.
Jason, when are you looking at actually putting this out for advertisement? When do you think the bid specs will be ready?
Probably within about a month. I mean, we met last week with Ronnie and went through and kind of itemized what we wanted to include. We took some things out that other cities do that really don't apply to us. It's some pipe bursting that bigger cities do that we really don't need. It's not very common down here on the coast, so.
So let me ask, just to clarify too, what you're asking for, because typically in construction projects, you'll ask to advertise, but it's always a lot more clear. Like, we're building a pier, we're building a pier, you know what the pier is gonna look like. So are you wanting really permission to advertise, or are you just were you looking more to just make sure the city council is on board with putting out this proposal?
I think it's both. I mean, we've talked about it for a while, and if the council's on board with it, then we can discuss some of these final details, add that to the specifications, and we can advertise. It should be ready within a couple of weeks.
So
And if we
we'll have
need
an
to
opportunity
bring
to
it back at
review.
the meeting in April, then we can do that as well.
Okay, so we'll have
Yeah,
an opportunity.
that's
to
what I'm
review.
getting at, would you guys rather see it,
Yeah.
now that you know, it sounds like you're all on board with it, so not really any action taken today. Once the final bid specs
Yeah, I think that.
and get ready, then we can bring that in front of you so you can all see it and know exactly, just because this is, I think, the first time that y'all have actually done this.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll make you all more comfortable.
I would like to see the details as to what the.
I'd say if
bid
you
would
could
be.
maybe email it to us so we
Yeah.
can forward the
Yeah.
next meeting, that'd be great.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, it is a little bit different contract. It's not like it's a fixed amount where we're doing a lift station or something.
Right.
It's somewhat flexible.
So Jason, you would still evaluate if there's say there's a sidewalk that needs repair, you'd still go and evaluate and give the engineering specs, and then we'd have this in place, and then go ahead and get off this contract with the price.
All
would
those
be fine.
details and specs will be included, so the contractor knows what we're expecting on the front end.
Okay,
And so as Public Works sees an area that needs to be repaired, they would handle the work orders. There's really
Okay.
very little that we'll have to do once
gotcha.
everything
That's
is
what,
bid
okay.
out.
That's
Yeah,
what
there
I'm
won't be
looking
much effort on our part.
Okay.
Maybe reviewing the scope of work or something like that, but it's not like every time they go out and do some work, they have to have another set of plans.
Gotcha.
back. All that's
Okay.
gonna be on the front end.
Okay.
Jason, can you just comment on standard specs?
Sure,
what we're
we've been
working on.
developing standard specs with
I mean,
Public Works for
just so they
water, sewer,
understand what that
drainage.
is.
And we're gonna include all those in the package as well.
Okay.
That way,
So
everybody
you're
knows
gonna
on the
put
front
in-
end what's required.
Like for a length of pipe, you have to have a catch basin every so many.
Drain
feet.
inlets like every 60 feet and at the property
60
lines,
feet
things
too
like that.
Long?
In between. We gotta give 30 feet between. each
Ordinance
Okay.
is
drain
60
inlet.
feet.
Yeah, maximum 60 feet, 60 feet thick.
Will, are we looking for one contract, or will it be one that can do asphalt, one do utilities, or?
So what we would recommend is let's do an asphalt separate,
Yeah.
so
That
that
would-
the asphalt contractors can do that, and we'll have a utility contract. All the utility contractors can do water, sewer, and drainage,
Yes,
roadway repair, things like that, but the asphalt, we think, would be better suited for asphalt contract.
yeah.
We'd actually have two packages that we'll present.
All right, good.
And we'd also look at, you can select 1, 2, or 3 contractors. We can write it that way too. So if the first contractor can't get to it, he might be tied up, can't respond soon enough, and you have options to go to the second contract. Just depends on, it won't be typically your low bidder, but if you have an emergency, you need them out there, then that might be your best route.
Jason, I can also, if you remind me, give you some escalator language that will
Okay.
require them to respond. And if it's something that's an emergency that you need on a weekend, they may get paid a little bit more to do that, but it's already in there. So basically, it will make them put you in a priority, and they will have to respond.
No, that'd be good.
But, and Jason, just to put it in perspective now, to brief synopsis of what we're doing. First, it's to throw this out the equation, what the process is now, and what that time frame may be. So with the benefit of this is that we know there's a rapid turnaround, because it's already approved, right?
Well, it's not approved. This is, we're bringing to you
But
tonight.
I'm saying theoretically,
in the
this goes out
future.
for bid, but we're looking at a time frame issue, right?
So
I
say if
don't
you
know what the
have,
question is.
so say if you have a sewer line breaks and it's
Correct.
an $80,000 project that would have to be fully bid, fully engineered. With this, Ronnie can pick up the phone and say go, rather than having to go through a 2-month process, or quite frankly, an emergency. In something like that, if it was an actual true emergency, it would be done under emergency procurement. And then when the contractors know you're under emergency procurement, they can throw whatever number that they want to at, because you've got to do it. So this would have you locked in rates for that. You wouldn't have to utilize the emergency procurement procedures.
I just don't want to back ourselves in a corner if we say it's a stat or emergency, that there's an auto escalator there, but it sounds like that's already the case now. If we put out a stat bid or it's emergent thing.
Well, anytime you call something an emergency, it costs more.
Yeah.
You know, to get them on site sooner, if they can plan it 2 months in advance, and that's one thing, but if we call them up and say, you know, we have a water leak that blew out on Old Spanish Trail, then they have to drop what they're doing, which means it costs a lot more to get mobilized.
Okay.
I
I
also
like
think
the concept.
a good example of, you know, how this could be used right now, we had a bunch of culverts replaced kind of behind the post office, I think, say 7th, 8th Street. I'm taking a guess at my streets right now. Tony, y'all might know better. But we had to wait to delay to fix those driveways. So this could be, go fix those driveways.
yeah.
You know, point and go.
I like it.
Okay, yeah, so we'll finalize all the details of everything and get it back to you for review and come back at the April meeting for advertisement authorization.
All right, thank you. Good deal.
Thanks.
Okay. You got anything else, Mike?
No, thanks.
Council business, Gene?
You know, I was gonna say on the speed bump, by MLK Park that we were just talking about on Washington Street, the ones that we did by, on Almond and Carroll, I think those would be those asphalt ones, because the ones that were out on Washington Street, they got ripped up.
Yeah.
Is the reason they're gone. People went out there and pulled them up with crowbars and stuff, because those ones that bolt down, they can be torn up, and I've seen, not just there, but I've seen other ones around town that have been torn
He's
up.
gonna do a slight moderation to it.
No.
Gonna make it a little wider, maybe not quite.
It's a pretty steep
Yeah,
grade,
yeah.
honestly.
I mean, I think,
Yeah.
like-
It's not as bad as
No,
Holy
no.
Trinity.
No.
what I originally asked for was more of a little table, but,
Well, those tables are
Little
about
hump, but-
$5,000.
yeah. So, a modification wouldn't be bad
No.
to what we got.
He'll modify it.
But I think that's a lot more permanent than anything else
It
we
is,
got
because they go
put in
down
place.
actually.
Because all those screw down ones eventually
Yeah.
rattle up or get torn up.
Well, the one at Holy Trinity wouldn't be a bad idea, because it will make them slow down.
Yeah.
These will too.
Well, that's similar to what we have over there by the
The one-
pickleball court. I mean, they're
Yeah,
concrete.
they're pretty
They're
close.
not going anywhere, but they're pretty
Quite
substantial.
as bad as those, but
They good.
they're pretty
They
good.
work.
How soon, Mr. Mayor, do you think we can get a speed
Have
bump
to
out
see
there?
when he can get over here. I'll get Ronnie tomorrow to call him and see. He's the guy that did the asphalt repairs,
Mm-hmm,
so as soon as we can get him back over here.
okay.
What's
Could
the
you-
preferred option on that? Is it the removable if you have a steeper grade, or is it the concrete ones that were put by the pickleball?
Pickleball. That's what the intent is.
But we dictate what the grade is on it.
Oh, no, he tries to make it what the national, I guess, recommendation is for the speed limit,
Yeah.
you know, so. I think Holy Trinity might be 10 miles an hour, 15.
Mike, go ahead and speak in the mic.
I think Holy Trinity might be 10 or 15 miles an hour for that speed bump. So they have them.
You'd be picking up your oil pan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you,
That's all I had.
could you call me, Mike, and,
Yeah.
just let me know when, give me a timeline on it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, sir.
And we have 'em- another place you can go try them too is over on Felicity Street.
Yeah, they good. I like the ones on Felicity.
We did, we test drove it. We was going 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, and you feel it pretty good at 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour.
You're flying.
Yeah, it bump you. I was in a truck, and well, I imagine a little car there, you're gonna hit it pretty hard. Yeah, move on before we get in trouble.
Yeah,
Southeast turn.
That's all I had.
yeah, the Depot District bidding, now we did put that out for bid already.
For parking.
That's awarded.
It's awarded, did they have a timeline when they're gonna start and when they're gonna finish? Is there a,
I have a pre-con meeting with the engineer and the contractor tomorrow, Thursday. I flip up the two contracts, but the next 2 days I got 2 meetings for pre-cons.
okay,
Which one, I'll look at my calendar, but
all right,
that's getting close. I mean,
okay.
that notice
good,
to
good.
proceed is going.
So tomorrow you are gonna decide when they're gonna start, or they're gonna give you a
It'll probably be
start
discussed.
date?
Be
And that one, a
discussed.
big part about discussion on that one is also juggling events and things at
Exactly,
basically those community center that are, weddings and things and booking and just timing things. But yeah, that ought to be rolling.
okay,
So it's a pre-con meeting tomorrow
all right,
or Thursday, whichever,
sounds good, thank you.
tomorrow.
That's it. Thank
Good,
you, sir.
I'm good. You good? Yes, sir. Kyle?
I'm good.
Linda?
Good.
I'm good. All right, moving on, let's see. We have, council, public forum. First one up, Cliff Ravelli.
Good evening, gentlemen. Cliff Ravelli, 702 3rd Street. Apologize, I missed the meeting on the 5th of March. Kind of unusual, but my wife looked at the video and she called me and I came and looked at it. I'd like some clarifications on one of the conversations that occurred. About 50 minutes into that video, there was a conversation that Tetra Tech, for the SWIFT grant, Tetra Tech received complaints from contractors that after submitting their bid, they were asked to change, specifically to increase their bid. That's what I heard in the video. This is public funds, gentlemen. That's illegal. Now, I know the city has done a great job of saving at arm's length. There's some dead fish smelling stuff going on here. That's why they're going out for second bids, which this time are gonna be sealed bids. Now, I can tell you gentlemen ahead of time that I already talked to Mike and Heather and told them that I wasn't gonna ambush them with this, but this doesn't sound right. Conversation started, or like I said, about 50 minutes into that video. It's my understanding that the bids were submitted to the homeowner to be forwarded to the Tetra Tech. Now, in my conversation with Mike, Tetra Tech is a third party, independent third party that's supposedly dealing with this, so that the city stays out of it. Thank God. I'd like to clarify that I don't know if we know where those bids specifically.
You talking about the first round or the second round?
The first round.
The first round was submitted directly to the homeowners. The second round, that was sealed bids, were submitted directly to Tetra Tech.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Jennifer. And
You're welcome.
so that's the clarification on that. And it's my understanding the contractors were told to rebid at a higher cost because we had a $200,000 grant and the bids weren't that high. This makes Louisiana politics look good. It was implied, but not stated, that the request for the higher bids came from the homeowner. Well, what I just heard, if the bids went to the homeowner, that's about the only person that could.
Quick question,
It-
Mr. Cliff, I don't mean
Yeah.
to interrupt. Was it
No.
lowest and best? How was that put out?
The second go-round or the first?
First go round,
Yes.
first go round.
I think it was just submit proposals. It's not like a strict, like, you're not using the lowest and best because this is a whole different realm. You're not using state bid law here. So like what you're used to, the state bid law, that's not the procurement method that was utilized.
If the city would've been involved in, we'd have had to use the bid laws.
I'm glad we're not involved with it, because guys, in my younger days, I was a facilities officer and dealt with a lot of GSA contracts. All right, the discussion that followed that, only addressed the fact they could only get 2 bids, they couldn't get a 3rd bid. And there was a comment made by someone that, she really liked Kane Construction, and that all of a sudden Kane Construction was getting the bid. Guys, something's wrong.
Kane Construction's on the other house.
Ah, okay.
Kane, the Bird residence has Kane Construction.
Thank
So
you.
there's 2 different projects.
Yeah, now that, I guess that brings up one of the other things that I've learned, that one of the houses didn't qualify, so we had to combine 2 houses to get them to qualify.
Is that accurate?
No, that's accurate. That's accurate. So what happened here is, so you had, originally these were submitted as 2 separate grants. And they were both approved, grant 1, grant number 2. So then when it came, and remember when we submitted the proposal to FEMA to adjust, to add more money to cover cost of construction, engineering, grant administration, pretty sure one of their hotels and like lodging. Remember when we did that and we added more money to the grant? When more money was added to the grant, it actually took the Guy residence was not in compliance. So, I guess not compliance term I'm looking for, cost benefit analysis. So Ms. Bird's house remained, it met the test. The Guy house did not. However, when you took and you combine the 2 projects into one project, then it met the cost benefit analysis standard, and FEMA was able to move forward as long as the grants were combined. So now instead of working under 2 grants, 2 separate grants, we just have 1 grant. It's just 2 projects within 1 grant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's hard to follow.
Well,
It's very confusing.
yes. I'm gonna express an opinion, an editorial. I think it's wonderful that there is a program being paid for by my tax dollars to help people, but the reality is that anybody that owns a house bought that house. The government didn't buy it for them. I don't feel, and this is my opinion, that it's the government's responsibility to repair it or fix it or other things. It's good when you have help, but this incident, like I say, I listened to the video and it just smelled like rotten fish. I don't know, and I understand the city has kept it at arm's length. And I talked to Mike Rizzo before I walked in here, and I understand that whatever we do going forward, it's gonna be sealed bid. Did I misunderstand that, Mike, or? Just for that one property. Oh, just for that one property?
Well, we only have 2.
Well, and I'll just say this, it's a double-edged sword. You know, I think, obviously, I think there's programs out there from a federal level that, based on the qualifications, if you, I think the qualifications, if you flood more than 3 catastrophic floods, you can't get NFIP flood insurance. So it's the, chicken and the egg on this scenario. I don't know when those homeowners bought, and if it was that they flooded after that or before it, but again, the program's there. So I think, doing the due diligence, if FEMA allocated this, then that it's there. Again, I want to be prudent of all, whether it's local, state, federal taxpayer dollars, we all pay in all of those.
Yeah.
So there's a concern there. I get that. But the federal programs out there, enlightening information that you bring to us, Cliff. I mean, I will say that. But again, in terms of the bid process, again, that was fortunate as to the foresight into having Tetra Tech evaluate as a third party to kick the city out of it is a good thing. I'm glad y'all went into that. But again, interesting information you bring up tonight on that.
One other thing I would ask, my understanding is that, because this was a long-term, arduous process. I know there was a lot of discussion for over a year, and I understand that some of the state legislators got involved to help this thing go through. I think those people that helped this thing go through need to hear what I just said, that It needs to be done properly. That's borderline illegal. If it's not illegal, it's certainly unethical.
Wow, I mean, we haven't been told that anything was illegal. I mean, was everything
No,
done the way it was
no.
supposed to be done?
You was
It
told what
was-
he just stated.
Yeah, you've been told everything that was just stated, and it was all in a memo from Tetra Tech that we discussed at the last meeting.
Right.
So nothing, I haven't heard one thing that Mr. Cook said today that hasn't been discussed openly in this meeting, in this room.
So no, it probably is not illegal. But I will assure you that if someone that worked for me in my previous work did something of this nature, they would be strongly encouraged to seek alternative employment if we didn't fire them on the spot. It's unethical. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Price? Okay, thank you. Mr. Warner?
Anita Warner on behalf of the Bay Waveland Garden Club. I want to give y'all a report because 2 meetings ago, we asked you to let us do some sprucing up on the Tercentenary Park, which is where the little pocket park with Mr. Bienville statue in it. I'm very happy to report that the city has removed the dead plants and the dead trees, so that it looks a whole lot better. They've also replaced the boards around, that's like a sitting area around the statue. Now, I did visit with Ronnie last week, and he told me that he had a contract to have the palm tree removed. It hasn't happened yet. We also need the water lines to be extended, and as best I could tell, that hasn't happened yet.
Did you ask him about it?
Excuse me?
Did you talk to him about it?
I did. Probably Wednesday, I talked to Ronnie, and he was telling me that he had the contract out, and it would be up to whomever to remove the palm tree, and then that they would get to the water line. So once those things are done, then we can go in and put in plants and do that kind of thing. But it looks a whole lot better just getting the dead stuff out, getting the broken wood out, that sort of thing. So anyway, just wanted to give y'all an update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Patricia Tice?
you, left.
Oh, she left? Okay, that's all we have for, public forum. Project updates, Jason, you back up.
I don't see her. I missed her.
We covered my one action item, so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Sienna Street, is that cleared up or drainage?
We're working on getting that marsh bug. I think y'all approved Public Works a couple meetings ago to rent a marsh buggy to go in and finish cleaning out that northern section, so trying to get that scheduled.
When do you think that'll be done?
I'm not sure. It depends on when the equipment can be delivered. That's what we're waiting on, is the delivery date.
Anybody else got anything?
Good. Got all my questions answered.
Nope, all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. City clerk's report.
Motion to approve a docket of claims 25-00011 dated March 18th, 2025, in the amount of $1,803,887.84. I did receive a couple of questions from one of the council members that have answered, otherwise, most of
Yeah, I
it
have
you
a
see is transferring between funds.
Yep.
From,
So, let me open this thing up. So I was looking at some of these large transfers of money, and it says budgeted. What projects are these for?
well, budget could also means, there's, I think one of them, in fact,
Yeah.
Doug asked about, was like 220 for, it's our budgeted money that's going from like utilities to operations.
Well, let's start with the first one, and we'll go right down the
Okay.
line. Let's see here.
Hold on, let me go to our transfers. So your first one's 220,000, it's moving from utilities to general operations. And that's for your indirect expenses that you're able to charge, that's done annually in your budget for things such as, you know, the operations of City Hall, the staff people working in it that are, you know, the insurance at City Hall, those types of things, the accounting work that has to be done. Those are called indirect expenses, but we do it every year.
I'm sorry, I'm having
That's good, I'm
trouble.
going to my next one.
41,350 is the number, Gary.
Hmm?
41,350.
Yeah, I know my finger, okay. This is my mouse and it wasn't working. So, okay, I understand the ARPA pay mode. So what's the MRE, Municipal Reserve Council budgeted? What's that?
Is that 200,000?
Mm-hmm.
That's general operating to the municipal reserve. We had a budget line item for 200,000 to put in municipal reserve for y'all. So that's what it's transferring.
So that's the emergency reserve?
No, that's to municipal reserve.
But what project is that paying?
It's not tied to a project. It's just from the general fund. We had 200,000 budgeted through general fund.
And what's that paying?
It's not. It's going to
It's going to
municipal reserve
Okay.
to put it in, basically, it's in a savings account for y'all for future projects.
Oh,
It's unrestricted. It's for y'all.
let them explain.
Yeah.
Let's see, so you have, I see the other one for 220, another council budgeted. So you have a second council budget.
That's going to utility operating fund. Or from utility to general fund. About halfway down.
46.
Cool. Yeah, it was on 60 now when it came in. I turned it up to 70.
It's 41342.
I'm scrolling through the agenda item for all transfers, and I'm looking for that number.
What are we looking for?
It said 200-something thousand.
It's
What
220.
number, number 16?
That was the one you was explaining a minute ago from the utility to
Yeah,
general
I had one that
fund
was the
to
first
the
one that I
overhead.
explained. I mean,
Yes.
Now I'm trying to go through the rest of them, but I don't see another 200 yet. I got one for 100,000, that's from utility operating to general fund, 109,815.
Should be the next one. Or, you know, on our list.
Yeah, the one right next to
And
it.
that's for utility payroll. That was 40,000.
41,342. Says TRF UTOP to general fund council budgeted, 220,000.
Yeah, that was the first one I covered. That was,
No, that was the top one for
That-
200,000.
no, there was one.
Transfer of general fund and municipal reserve.
If you look at the interfund transfers on the general, on your consent agenda, all the transfers are detailed with all the backing support. The first one that pops up is 220,000. It's a transfer out of utility operations to the general fund.
That's for payroll.
No, that one says indirect expenses.
So yeah, the 220 for the indirect expenses, and then you had the 200, that is for your reserve. So that's the money you're taking and you're putting into your reserve account. And then you had the 220 is your indirect expenses that were budgeted to be paid.
From
Indirect
utility
expenses
operations.
is budgeted every year from the utility side and also the harbor side.
Right.
This is the indirect expenses that's paid out.
You're basically charging the harbor, you're charging utilities for the stuff that is paid through general
Okay.
fund.
All right. Anybody got anything else on it?
Yeah, Mike, so Orion, 4,950. When are we gonna get the breakdown of the, I'm assuming that's the code, says BSL code.
That's our code.
So
rewrite.
when are we gonna do a report on that?
I'm hoping to have a draft for me to start reviewing in the next 30 days of kind of going through it to be able to say, okay, where are we and eyeballing it? And that'll be a draft form.
Kind of had a
We've had
timeline.
multiple
that
meetings,
had-
but, I mean, it's a year process, but we're hoping, I mean, be finished by the
timeline
summer.
there, but it's kind of hard to follow percentage completed if you look at their timelines.
But they're supposed to put something, kind of, my understanding from me and Jeremy to kind of start reading through. That's still a work in process, but where we can start going through it and commenting.
And then y'all will bring us those comments?
Yeah, I mean, it'll get back to y'all, yeah.
Okay.
But we're still in the weeds and, you know, at that point.
So we're looking at about a month to get those?
For
get
me to
that-
have a draft, which is still a work in process, that they're still working, but they'll send us, me and Jeremy, something to start redlining.
I think they were still working on some validations, that what they wrote, then they was looking through our other ordinances and best case, real world examples and applying those new ordinances to that to make sure they would fit to what we need. So that was part of the timeline as Saul was.
And the basis
And
of the
we've
red lines are
estimated-
gonna be based off the
I'm sorry?
The previous zoning and the current comprehensive plan, what's the basis of the red lines?
The red lines is just us reading. I mean, I'm looking for things, it could be a period missing, it could be a misspelled word, I mean.
So grammatical,
It could be, I mean, I've done this multiple times, so I literally have a red ink pen and a yellow highlighter.
so we'll have an opportunity to review
Absolutely.
as to
It's just
what
not
the
ready. I mean,
recommendations are, okay.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at
Y'all
a
ultimately have to approve everything on there.
couple months away from that.
I mean, yeah.
Page 75.
But we'll go through it and find, say, hey, this doesn't make sense. This is what we talked about. Or get clarification. I mean, it's just whatever, but it's a process.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else on the docket of claims?
Okay, we gotta approve that, don't we?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, docket of claims 25-011 dated March 18th, 2025 in the amount of $1,803,887.84. We have a motion by Councilman Seal. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman DeSalvo. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Next thing, consent agenda. Anybody? Let me see here. I think I have a couple questions. The water well contract. So we're repairing, what's wrong with the, Harry Street?
That's just spreading the contract on the
On the new
that's
well.
the executed one that you've already approved. You've already approved the bids. This is just the fully
spreading,
executed
fully
contract.
executed, okay.
That's nothing new.
At Harry Street, we're just fixing the external casing on it. It's $55,000 to shore up the external casing on Harry Street well.
Right.
The other one's about $2.1 million for the new well.
All right, that was the only question that I had. I just thought there was, just make sure there was nothing, more wrong with it.
Now, one thing, Gary, one thing I've tried to do is make sure any contract, any document that's trying to spread, make sure the original, that the signed copies are in y'all minutes. So that if ever somebody has to go hunting for something, that it should all be there. That, so that's why you're seeing a lot of things
Gotcha.
spread, and I want the one with signatures on it.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal.
Second.
Second, Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Let's see. Almost killed me. Special reports. Anybody got any questions? Motion to, someone wanna make a motion to approve? Motion, Councilman DeSalvo for spread reports listed.
Second.
Second by Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Any attorneys? Updates?
I think we will have a mediation on April 7th. That's hot off the press about an hour ago. So I don't have any other details to give you. They just all agreed. So stay tuned.
That's it, Harbor. That's Harbor.
On what?
The Harbor. Harbor mediation.
All right, no need for executive session. Motion to, anybody got anything? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, Councilman Hoffman, second by Councilman Reed. Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you.